Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Sikora, and I'm going to step you through AutoCAD 2021 3D assembly, basically just a DWG file with two components in it, as you can see up there, and we're going to convert it to a sketch. And this is actually our midterm exam. So it's a review for the midterm exam. What I just ask is that you could use it to practice it as much as you like, but when you take the exam, don't cheat yourself. Actually do it on your own after perhaps watching this. All right, first of all, this information can be found if you go to Vertanu 1, V-E-R-T-A-N as in Nancy U-X 1, and go to the exams. And I would grab the Inventor Basics midterm. There probably will be an AutoCAD midterm up there someday, but for right now you could just use this because it's basically the same thing. There are some instructions, and quite honestly the instructions can still be used because they're very basic, but they do give you the points for each component as well as the part or the assembly and the drawing. And this is our goal ultimately, is to make that drawing, or what you saw earlier. Now here are the parts. Like, this is not something that you have to make a drawing of, but you have to make the part inside. You have to model it up. So it's a bottle. It's 2.5 inches in height for the bulk of it. The neck is another additional 1/2 inch. And it's 2 inches in diameter, and the neck is only 1.5 inches in diameter. There's going to be some fillets we're going to put on to smooth out the sides, and then we're going to shell it out at 100 thousandths. So 0.1 for the typical fillet, 0.1 for the typical wall. The cap is a little more complex. As you can see here, we have a couple stair steps. We're actually going to build it on the bottle to utilize some of the geometry from that, because the neck is the same size as the hole. Now here we have the neck, or I should say the hole is only going to go 0.4 deep. All right, and then there's this additional 100 thousandths thickness, and then there's a cap on the top of that that's 1.9 in diameter, and it's 0.1 as well. Okay, and so then we're going to put this array of circular diameters. Let's see here, they're 0.1 diameter. I tried to keep the numbers really easy, so you could just almost do this in your sleep once you've practiced a couple times. And ultimately there's kind of what we want. We want a front view, bottom view, section view, detail view, isometric view with the balloons and the parts list or bill of materials, whatever we want to call it. And there's going to be a bottle and a cap and so on. Now, the exploded view that you see here is going to be extra credit. You could just bring in this view that I have here if you want. But for 20 points extra credit, I will show you at the very end a technique where you could get this. Now, it's not easy, and that's why I'm giving it extra credit, because I did it a couple times, and several times it came out wrong, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I eventually got it right here, as you can see. So let's begin. I'm going to start with a new drawing and use the AutoCAD 3D, the one we use all the time, and go to the home button and then top. Now let's proceed. I'd like to actually, once we get home here, go to, I like the 2D wireframe, but it's up to you, whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to turn on the grid snap, and I'm going to proceed to go over here to the center diameter. And the bottle we're going to design first, and that's a 2-inch diameter for the main portion of the bottle. So we're going to click on that center point, drag it out, type in 2, hit enter, and then we're going to go ahead, let's go back to the home button, and we'll proceed to extrude that. So click on extrude, select the geometry, hit enter. It should be able to drag it up. If you like, some of you don't like wireframe, and I get that. I'm going to go with conceptual. Oops, that's making me reset there. Let's go back to extrude. Oh, there we go. Okay, and this should be 2.5. Zoom up. We could click on this little button right here. That will bring us up closer. All right, now we're going to go ahead and draw another diameter. And we want it centered here on the top. And just click and drag out a circle and make it 1.5. 1.5. And we could go to, now we could do press pull. Let's go ahead and give it a try. And now I'm going to turn off my snaps. Okay, click inside there, drag it up, and make it 0.5. Now, one of the advantages that occurs with press pull is that sometimes it could actually merge the two bodies, versus if you use extrude, they're two separate bodies that later have to be united, as we've seen before. And sometimes, like in this case, it united them for us automatically. So that there was a bit of an advantage for that, to use it that one time. But I've gotten it where it's not. So just be aware sometimes if they don't both highlight when you hover over it, it's an indicator that it didn't put them together. And it might be due to a sloppy sketch or something if I've done that before, and I know I have. All right, now we put the fillets in, and it's very important to do this in order. So fillet edge, radius, and 0.1, enter. Select this edge here. Select that one there. Now, if you try and click on this edge, it says it can't. That might be that you need to unite this part, and the union is right here. You just click on both of those and click on both of these and hit enter. And then you can try to put the fillet on. All right, but as you can see, these all worked. And it is important to get these in first. I'm going to hit enter and enter. So enter 2 times. And we have it. Now, the last thing you do is you shell. So go to shell, click on the model, and then click on that top surface, and it should turn white or different color there. That's the face that's going to be removed. Hit enter, and now enter 0.1. Enter. And then just hit exit right here. And exit again. All right, there's our bottle. 50 points right there for you. Okay. Now we're going to move on. Let's go to the home button here, and we're going to proceed to make some different layers. So let's go to layer properties. And for an assembly, as we learned with the assemblies exercise, I think that's the 5th exercise 5. This is similar to what we did. Go ahead and click on new up here. We'll call this bottle. And then click on new again. The next one, we'll call it cap, and click on it again. And this one is only if you want the extra credit. Put cap 2. All right, and then click off of it. You can change the colors if you like. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to leave mine all the same. It doesn't really matter to me. Okay, and I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to select the bottle and place that over here on the bottle layer. Now as I hover over, it'll say, look at that, the color is by layer, and then it says layer is the bottle. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and model the cap. Now for the cap, we're going to model it literally on the bottle. So what we're going to do here is let's go to the diameter, center diameter, hover over this edge, and we're looking to get the center point. There it is. I had to hover over the edge of the neck of the bottle to get this center point. I'm going to click and drag this out. Now this first one is going to be 1.8 in diameter. And proceed to extrude that. Click on it. And notice I picked extrude. I didn't pick press pull because it might actually merge or unite with the bottle. We want them separate volumes. Okay, so anyhow, so I went with extrude and enter, drag that up, and it's only 0.1 for the height. Now let's go back to circle, center diameter. Hover over this until you get that top. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now we see it appear. Click, drag out another circle, 1.9 this time. And I think even if I use press pull, because it overlaps, it comes out as separate. But let's give it a, no, we better go with extrude. I just thought it might confuse some of you. Okay, let's go with extrude and select that outer edge, hit enter, and this is 0.1 for the height. Now, immediately I would recommend to put the fillet on. The number one thing on this test that's missed is the fillet. So that's 20 points if you miss the fillet. So make sure you add it and go to fillet, go to radius, and it's already a 0.1, so we're in good shape. Hit enter and select that edge and hit enter, enter. All right, now we want to merge those two as well. Let's actually, we're gonna go home and go over here to the bottle and hide the bottle. Okay. Now click over here and let's rotate it around. Now what we need to do is we need to make the next diameter here, a couple diameters. And you know what, we could actually delete this one. We don't really need that anymore. Okay, let's go to first merge those. So unite them. Go to union, select this, select that, hit enter. So now they're one. Now let's go to the bottom and let's go to circle the diameter. And let's hover over the edge here to wake up the center. Oh, it's not doing it for us. Let's get, come on. All right, we're just going to go ahead and let's rotate it a little bit. Shift and middle wheel. Okay, maybe we'll get a better highlight there. I think we've got it. Come on. All right, that's okay. Let's go to turn on the grid. Because it is centered, we should be able to get it centered. Is that centered? Let's go back to bottom. Interesting, it still doesn't want to. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually steal the edges of the 1.8 because we need that anyhow. Or, no, you know what? Yeah, we could go ahead and do that, I suppose. We could press pull. Let's click on the bottom, drag it down, and we want it to go down 0.4. All right. Now let's try and put the neck of the bottle in here and turn off your snap. Okay, and there it is. Click, and that time it worked really well. So, okay, now we want 1.5, and we could actually use press pull again. Click on that, drag it up 0.4. My original plan was to have an outline and just extrude it down so we didn't have to do that step, but that's okay. We still got to the same result. And I have students ask, like, do I have to do it exactly like you? As long as the geometry is correct, you do it the way you feel is best. Mine are just techniques that I have. There's probably a dozen ways to do this. Okay, now let's, we're going to go ahead to the bottom. And I'm actually, sometimes, you know what, I keep forgetting, sometimes wireframe is a little bit easier to navigate, especially when you're clicking on entities. All right, now this next one we want, the 1.8. Now I can't see it. Let's see. You know what? It's best with shaded with gray. Go with bottom. All right, that's better. A little bit easier to see. Okay, go to the diameter. Snap to this quadrant right here. Oh, you know what? We're better off, quite honestly, center radius. Watch this. Snap to that quadrant on the second ridge, and then snap to this quadrant on the outer ridge. And now it called me a liar. I'm going to Control Z. Let's do that one more time. here. And I'm just going to make it 0.1 because that's what I know it's supposed to be. And I picked radius, Control Z. I'm leaving in the mistakes because you can actually see the types of mistakes that are made. I'm going to click draw this out, 0.1. So I went with diameter. My apologies, but I do leave the mistakes in because these are common mistakes that many of you probably might make. And it's good to see how you fix them. All right, now we could see it's right there. I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to select that circle, hit enter, and this is going to go 0.5. That brings it right up to the ridge. Now, if there's a gap there after making a 0.5, somewhere you modeled it incorrectly. Okay, so, and to be honest, throw it on a different layer, start a new cap if that's the case. You can try and fix it. This is a partial parametric modeler. The modeler actually isn't parametric. It's the sketches that are parametric. So, and we're not using that right now. So unfortunately, to edit it, you might be better off, quite honestly, just modeling it again. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and pattern this. So I'm going to go over here to the polar array, select that. Notice I haven't merged them yet. We'll do that after we get this done. Hit enter. And now it's looking for a center point. Click right on that center there. And I'll go up here, and we're going to set it to 50 instances. Hit enter. And then make sure associative is turned off. Associative, if you leave it on, I've had issues where it doesn't unite with the other bodies easily. So just be aware. Make sure you turn that off. Otherwise, you have to explode it. If you didn't turn that off, you have to use this right here. Explode and select it, and it'll explode the array. Keeps them in position, it's just that you could then select them individually. All right, now we could go ahead and go over here to Solid Union, click on the cap, and just proceed to click and drag a fence around everything. Hit enter, and we've got our solid. Let's hit escape, and now we could put that, let's select it actually, and we're going to put that on cap. Okay, and go back home. Escape. All right, let's bring back the bottle. So turn on the light bulb. And now if you zoom out, now we're going to, now again, only if you want the extra credit, do this part. If you don't care about the extra credit, don't worry about it. It's 20 points though. It's almost worth as much as a full exercise. Not quite. Exercises are worth 30, so 20 is not bad though. All right, so we're going to go over here to copy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select the cap, enter, and then I want to move it. So select that. You could drag it up and get it to maybe about just over an inch away, like mine's 1.1. You could type in a value if you want, click, and then hit escape. Now make sure you drag it straight so it's directly above it. Now, guess what we're going to do with that? Click on that, set that to cap 2. And since now that's set on cap 2, click on this and turn off cap 2, hide it. Now let's save what we have. Actually go to File, Save As, and I'm going to drop mine on my desktop. And we'll go ahead and give this a name, just MT for midterm. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and make the drawing. So to move on to that part, right-click on Layout 1, from Template. We're going to use one that's already in there. So the sheet sets, and everyone has this, Manufacturing Imperial. And it's a C size, so that's okay. Hit Open. And you'll see right there, ANSI C size, hit OK. All right, now it should appear down below here. So click on that. And let's zoom up a little closer. Now we could start dropping in. You're going to have to go to the Layout tab, go to Base, Model Space. Click right about there. And the orientation is good. Let's go to Hidden Lines. And just visible lines we want. And scale looks pretty good. We'll leave it at the scale that it's given us. And visibility, let's turn on tangent edges. Yes. Do you want it foreshortened? And I like them foreshortened sometimes. Let's go ahead and select yes. And now hit exit. And exit again. Now drop one down below. And go ahead and drop one up here in the upper right, the isometric. Click. Now you have to right click and enter. And there they are. You could double click on this one here and go to hidden lines and shaded with visible lines. And then exit. Okay, so there's our shaded. Note that shaded views aren't always acceptable for every view, so be careful. For portfolio, I actually did some with shaded because I thought they looked cool, but some companies don't like, well, it shows a sign that you don't really work in industry. So I don't think I would recommend it. Like, do it similar to what we're doing here and you should be fine. Okay, now I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Now, just as a general note, I don't know if I showed this to you in the last one. I don't think it did last time we did assemblies. If you click on this, it gives you all the different scales that you could pick from. We're going to leave it as is. It's set to 1:1, which is fine. Okay. Now, click one time on that view, go to section, and go to the bottom and hover over that midpoint there, and then move down a little bit below it. Click and drag it straight through a little bit above it, click, and now right click and enter. Drag this off to the right here, click, and just hit exit. All right, there's our section view. Let's do a detail view now. I like to pre-select the views. It just seems a little smoother when you do that. Go to detail, and right over here, we're going to click here, drag out the circle so the B is outside off the part, click, and let's drop that right about there and just hit exit. All right, now for the, we're going to do the bill of materials, and like I said last, I'll show you the exploded view. Okay, all right, now the bill of materials. Now we have to make it manually in here. There might be a way to link them. I bet you there is somehow to where you can make a smart one, but I don't know about that. Someone feel free to post a link down below if you have a video that does it. Anyhow, I'm going to show you how to make one here. So let's go to annotate, and we see table. All right, for the table, start from empty table, preview, and the columns should be 3, column width 2.5 is fine. Data rows 2 because we only have 2 parts. And row height 1 is fine. We're in good shape here. Just make sure that those all match mine and hit OK. And I'll just drop that up here. When it snaps that corner, you're in good shape. Now right away it starts flashing. It wants us to drop in thing. We could call this parts list. Okay, then click in the next cell, double click in there, and with justification, let's see, that's not letting me, I'm just going to do, oh, it's already at middle and center. Okay, make sure it's at middle and center. And this one is going to be called, let's see, part number. Okay, now click in this next cell, double click in it, and this one's going to be description. And then double click in this one here, and this will be the quantity, QTY period. Okay, now this is the one, oh, it actually is set, the justification is word, oh no, see, look at this, justification switched. So make sure you select middle center. And in this case, we're going to type in part number 1. And I like to do this. I select it, Control C, click in the cell below it, Control V, because then it center justifies, change it to 2 so I don't have to go up there all the time. All right, now quantity, I'm going to go over here, double click in there, Control V, double click in here, Control V. And interestingly enough, this one did not pick up my justification, so I'm going to have to go back to justify, middle, center. Oh, nor did this one. Interesting. So that one too. And we could set this up, I believe there was in the options and I just didn't do it. But anyhow, okay, now description. Part number 1 will be the bottle. And part number 2 will be the cap. And capital letters should be used. All right, so we have that set. Let's move this over a little bit more. And maybe move this over too. Okay, now over here, let's make some alterations. Double click on the text. I hit escape. For some strange reason, that comes up the first time I double click, then I hit escape, I double click again, and I get this. This is what I'm looking for. Anywhere where you see hash marks, like the sheet name, like let's click on that, and down here, I'm actually just going to put in midterm, apply. I'm going to scroll up. There's more hash marks, enter sheet number. You could just delete that. And then go over here to sheet number here, wipe that out. Again, anywhere where there's hash marks. Let's go down. Let's see what else we have here. And then the manufacturing check date. Let's get rid of that. Okay. And finally, there should be contract number. We don't need that, of course. Let's get rid of this. Okay, and the date. I've had it where it actually puts the date in correctly. Let's see, we want drawn date. Let's come up with a revision date there. That's not what I was looking for. But there we have April 2nd. Hit OK. And apply it. There we go. It didn't do it. Don't worry about that so much. I just wanted to make sure you had that one. That's something there. I'm not too concerned about the date, but you can tinker around with it if you want. Okay, so now we need to put in some text. So go to multi-text, and let's make it match. Let's this. I believe this is the one it's using. Let's go ahead and plop it in right there. Oh, that's really big. Okay, I'm going to put in Chris S. And then click off of it. And I'd like you, those of you who are in my class, put your full name in it, because remember, we have a lot of similar names. I teach over 100 students a semester, and so just in case, I'd like you to do that. All right, now we need the center mark here, so don't forget the center mark. Click on center mark up there, and select this edge, and we're in good shape. All right, and you can do center line. I don't ever have anyone do the center line in here, but besides, that's why. Never mind. Okay. Now this is all you need. Those of you who, if you want just an A, full 100% credit, you could at this time do an export out. Like you go here to export PDF and go ahead and export that out. You should be able to get it. Another thing you could do an Alt print screen on your keyboard and paste that into a Word document. Make sure it's big enough that I can see it, so you might want to rotate it 90 degrees so it appears in the Word document on 8.5 by 11. That's fine too. And send that to me. Try and save them as PDF so it's nice in a compressed format. And it's easily open, it's easily edited. Okay, but now I want to show you for the 20 extra credit points. Here we go. And let's cross our fingers because I've had it fail on me before. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go Layout. All right. And Insert View. All right. Now notice it brings us back here. Okay, that's fine. What we want to do is we want to go Home, and instead of 2D wireframe, I'll leave it a 2D wireframe, I'm sorry. Go to the Layers and activate Cap 2, but deactivate the cap, so turn off the cap. And so now it looks like it's hovering above it. Now you can zoom out, click up here, and click and surround it with a rectangle. Try and get it in as tight as you can. Click again, and hit Enter. And it brings us back here. Fit that rectangle right there. And I know you're thinking, hey, that looks kind of funny. Now watch this. Double click. Oh, darn it. And look at that. It popped the cap off the top. And I've had this happen before. I don't know how sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Not sure why, but I'll try and fix that. So under here, first of all, Custom View. Actually, let's go to 2D wireframe. And you should be able to double click. Well, all right, we're going to go with Realistic. There's Realistic. And we could leave the grid on, but I'd prefer you to turn off. So go down here, turn off the grid. It just looks a lot better. And you could click off of it. And now you'll see you could change the scale. Go over here. And let's make it a 1:1, just like the other one next to it. And there it is. Now, interestingly enough, this one has had some bizarre effect, but that's okay. Now what I want to show you is how to put the notes in here. So the balloons, we want bill of material balloons. So over here, we're going to go to Layout. Oh, actually Annotate. All right, and instead of Standard, I want you to go with Annotative. And go over here to the leaders, and we're going to set it up for Annotative. Go to Modify. And we're going to content, we want actually instead of, let's see here, that's all fine, blocks, and I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. Let's see here, did I miss it? Okay. And for some reason, I'm drawing a blank. I cannot find what I'm looking for. If someone notices it, I'll try and put it up there, as I know I've found it before. We're basically just trying to get a balloon around our bubble here. And for some odd reason, I'm just not seeing it today. Text height, style. There we go. Okay, go to Block, Detail Callout. We want Circle, and we look good here. I think we're in good shape. Okay, so now we could go ahead, set Current, and Close. Now when we go to Multi-Leader here, I'm going to do it on here because it seems to work better for right now, but you can do it on the Exploded View, and that's preferable. You click, drop that off, and now this is the cap, and the cap was part number 2, remember, so just type in 2 and hit OK. And where did it go? Let's try that again. Okay, so today I'm having some difficulty with that. Not entirely certain why this is having trouble with this. Let's hit, okay. Apparently you have to hit Enter afterwards, and I just forgot that. Let's try that again. Multi-leader, click. This is 2, Enter. and then OK. All right, it's calling me a liar today. Anyhow, if you have difficulty with that, go ahead and just send me the best you can and tell me when I grade it, okay, that it was doing it, because if it happens to me, I want to be fair. That, you know, if it happens to me, I'm not gonna knock you on it. Okay, I'm gonna try it on this now, and you'll see this one is a little quirky too from time to time. Click, drop that off. That one is going to be 1. Enter. Okay, that one worked just fine. Let's try it again. And sometimes you have to zoom up, and you want to get one of those little triangles to appear. Click, drag it off. 1, enter. Okay. It's very strange that it's not working on there, but it's possible because, remember, I have that in a hidden state in the layers. So it's possible that's causing a problem there. I bet you that's what it is, in fact. Now, as far as this one goes, let's see. I'll try and update that view. Perhaps I could get that one to close. It's very strange. I had that happen once, and I did it a couple times. Anyhow, if you're trying for the extra credit and that happens to you, I'm still going to give you full credit. So I'm going to try and fix this video and figure out what went wrong there. But because it's happened before, and then other times it doesn't. So probably operator error on my part. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this test. It is a very good test for figuring out, learning how to use this software, at least the foundations, the 3D side. And remember, just go ahead to output this. Just go to Export PDF. I'm going to do it right now. And let's see, under Options, the AutoCAD PDF, we're in good shape there. Usually you could just hit Save, and let's see what it comes out to. There it is. Beautiful. All the settings are already there for you, so you don't have to tinker with everything. Okay, that concludes the midterm exam.